Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of It's a Football Thing. Big episode tonight, a very, very top-tier special guest, one that us boys, we started a little bit late because we were chuffed just having a yarn to him before we went live, but we are joined tonight by Mitch Duke. Mitch, how's it going?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me on, boys. I'm really looking forward to having a good chat with you.
Absolutely welcome, and all the way from Japan as well. So a massive thank you to you for being so generous with your time and coming on. We've got RJ in the house. RJ, what's going on?
When you said we've got a special guest here, I'm like, hang on, I'm here every episode. What about Dukey? You're not going to be nice to him. He's made his time to come and talk to us, not so sensational characters. But look, to be honest, I've been looking at my phone every 7 seconds. I just saw a tweet out from Nizar Kinsella. Russia's now blocked or put Roman Abramovich on the sanction list. What does that mean for Chelsea? So I'm just here scratching my hair. But you know what? I'm going to put all that to the side and let's talk football. Good one, Scott.
Absolutely. And Rob, what's going on, man? Still at home recovering from your op?
Still at home, mate, recovering. Legs are looking a bit colourful, but all good. Look, man, I'm pumped for tonight. I'm having Mitch here. Massive honour, another tick off the list for us, and can't wait to talk football tonight.
That's it. Look, if you are new to the channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well. Let's boost this up. You don't get top quality guests like this every day. We're going to cover a few things tonight. The structure of the show. We're going to talk a little bit about the career that our illustrious guest has had, playing in the A-League, playing over in Japan, having the honour of wearing the national team jersey and representing your country, all those kind of things that a lot of us only ever dream of. So we're really going to get into that. Then we're going to talk about, of course, the madness, the Champions League action this morning. Holy moly. We've got a lot to talk about, boys. And then we're going to do some predictions and some quick fires. Wouldn't be a show without quick fires. So, boys, without any further ado, let's welcome the live chat and then get right into it. We've got Tom here, who runs the United Pubcast with Larry. Tom saying he's actually played against Mitch a few times in his younger days, and you're always a good opponent, apparently, Mitch. But it's great to see you, and he's looking forward to the chat. We've got Declared in the house, Big Duke, Big Up All. Alex, he's one of those Spurs fans I told you about, Mitch, but he's a good fella. Welcome, Alex. Martin Rayner, massive Central Coast fan, massive Spurs fan. We love him. We love him here.
We'll try not to bottle this one, hey, Scott?
Oh, I love it.
The Lukaku of Japan.
Mate, just quietly, Duke, I reckon you've got Lukaku covered, mate. But let's jump straight into
his price tag.
Yeah,
RJ, I know you wanted to ask Mitch a few questions to kick us off, so I'm going to leave that with you, boss.
Yeah, no, thanks, Scott. And again, it's good. Without further ado, drum roll. But my question for you, Mitch, local boy, you're a Liverpool legend, but just give us just a quick overview of the Mitch Duke of the All Saints Catholic College through to where you are now. So just tell us part of your career journey to date, just a bit of a walkthrough.
Yeah, obviously Western Sydney boy. I'm one of 9 kids, so it was an absolute chaos growing up in Western Sydney in a pretty small house, fitting 11 of us all in the one roof. And obviously started out at All Saints and went to the old boys' school and the senior college there as well. And yeah, to be honest, it was actually quite good. It was a Catholic school, but we're having a bit of a chat before saying that there was actually still a decent little bit of a football background with that school. And it fit right in because, to be honest, I trialed out for Westfield Sports and got rejected. So I was very, very lucky to see.
Rubbish school, that one. You came to the right one.
They're lost. That's it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I actually got turned away from them 2 times for the primary school and the senior school. So that was a bit of a blow, but lucky enough, the football opportunities were still there at All Saints and never looked back really. And it was a brilliant upbringing really, and never looked back. Went from strength to strength, and eventually got some opportunities when I'd finished school. I was a very late bloomer. I didn't get my first professional contract till I was 21. Started out at the youth team, obviously, in the NPL with Blacktown City and things like that. But then didn't get my opportunity till I was 21 with the Central Coast Mariners youth team. I got Golden Boot actually both years as a youth player and didn't get my opportunity still. And I started out being a sparky to potentially do that because I didn't have anything else to fall back on. And literally on my last legs, got given the contract that I was dying for. So, and went from strength to strength there and never looked back.
Beautiful, beautiful. And like you said, you're someone that's familiar with banging them in.
Has RJ frozen for you boys?
Yeah, I think he's frozen.
Oh, that's good. One less Chelsea fan to deal with.
He'll be back.
He'll jump back in. He'll jump back in. But hearing you talk about that adversity, I mean, I'm a teacher, Mitch, so I spend a lot of time working with young people who want to make it in the game and have big dreams. But hearing about people like yourself who didn't get that break till 21, like, it's really an important message for players to hear, because anyone to hear, because it's not easy to make a career in football. Would you say that waiting for that first contract was probably the trickiest part of the career?
Oh, mate, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, you get to a certain point where, when do you think you're going to stop chasing that dream? Because you're getting older. You need to have something to fall back on. You need to generate an income for yourself. I also wasn't blessed. You know, like I said, I'm one of 9 kids, so we didn't have a hell of a lot of money to just do what we wanted and be looked after and catered to. You know, the sacrifices you make, I guess, you know, sounds a bit cliche. You know, rejection, setbacks, and certain things that you do mold you as a person and help you, I guess, get to the point that you want to. But for me, because I was working 3 jobs, the Central Coast Mariners youth team would only pay you $700 a month, which was nowhere near enough to get by. That was only covering my petrol driving from Western Sydney to the Central Coast every day. It's because I was also training with the first team at the time. So I was almost like a youth professional, but nowhere near the pay packet that would help you sustain getting by. So I was working at Bankstown Airport from 12 a.m. to 7 a.m., go direct from there to Central Coast Mariners to train. And then I had a casual role at Super Cheap Auto and also at a freight company in the city that I bounced between to just obviously get yourself by. But it's like, it's one of those things. It's a cliche, maybe a little bit, but, you know, doing all those and I guess chasing that dream, not completely giving up until I pretty much had no other option, because 21 was the cutoff age as well, playing in the youth team back then. I had one more year to get a contract. If I didn't, then I was going to the NPL and just doing the Sparky role and getting a trade. So, look, lucky enough, it played out in my favour. And then I think that's what it's all about, is opportunity and taking those opportunities when they arise, especially in Australia when they're very few and far between. Because, like I said, the lack of opportunity in Australia with football, the A-League, not enough professional teams and things like that, you've got to take whatever gets thrown your way. And I thought I did that, to be fair, because I actually got flown into the Gold Coast to make my debut for the Mariners. Scored on my debut, thinking like, all right, golden boot in the youth team, scored on my debut in the A-League, surely I'm going to get my contract. But instead they gave it to Bernie Abini back then, and I had to wait another year. So that's just how it was. The opportunities weren't there, but lucky enough, Graham Arnold gave me it the next year. So yeah, and never looked back since.
Yeah, speaking of, like I said, you're going to fall back as being a Sparky, which you do strike me as someone that's been pretty switched on, Mitch. But in all seriousness, mate, sorry, it's the day.
He's already regretting coming on.
It's that time of the night. My club's about to go into administration. I need to have a bit of a laugh, okay? So just bear with me. But my question is, I have to, mate. I'm going absolutely insane. Like Tom said in the chat, Twitter's going off, although Twitter's not a barometer for anything sane. Back to you, though, Mitch. You've been, obviously, you started off here. You're a Westie like us. You've gone over to Saudi Arabia. You're in Japan. You're a journeyman in many respects. What are some of the key principles that you've taken in your footballing journey? Because as you said off air, we talk about the glamour side of football, and particularly those that resonate with the Premier League. But those that are not playing in the Premier League or the Champions League regularly, but are still playing top-tier football, it's not always glamorous, and it is with many challenges. So what are some of the key lessons that you have taken in your journey going from country to country?
I don't know, like I think over the course of my career so far, you kind of have an open mind and just learn from your experiences, I guess. And you have to have a strong mentality regardless to be in this kind of industry, because you're always in the limelight. Regardless of what's happening off the pitch, you've got to make sure you perform. And like anything, like in football, you have a bad day at the office. It's not just, you can't hide from it. A lot of people see, and a lot of people might feel the right to be able to expose you and message you on social media. And that's just the way it is. So for me, really, and me also now being a part of a young family, I've had to sacrifice a lot of time away from them, being on my own, because they're my motivation to pretty much, it's a short career. So in an Australian mindset for me, coming not from much with being a part of a big family, I always wanted to make sure I was financially secure enough to be comfortable after football, knowing it's a small career and having a young family to look after. I was always chasing the money, regardless of whether or not people understood what decisions I made, because so many people questioned, why didn't I stay at the Wanderers and sign a marquee deal instead of going to Saudi Arabia? But people don't understand that the financial security is the biggest thing for me, especially at this stage in my career. It's not easy, because I've been on my own now for the last year and a half, away from my family, not seeing my kids, missing them growing up, and time's something you can't get back. So
super difficult, mate.
Yeah. Super difficult. And you kind of just see the bigger picture, kind of tunnel vision, to being like, it's all for a purpose. You want to look back and be like, you know what, I made the right decisions. I did that for my family. Regardless of when you're down, you got to just know that you can kind of talk yourself out. It's for a reason. It's a short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain. And I think that kind of helps you get through the tougher periods. Regardless of, you have moments of feeling sorry for yourself. Why the hell am I doing this? Is the money really worth it for your mental state when you're struggling a little bit, whatever? But as long as you can stay true to your goals and what you want in the long term, I think that can help you get through whatever you're going through at that moment.
Spot on, Mitch. And you said that. You said that so well. And we only listened to Billy Wingrove from the F2 Freestylers speak a couple of weeks ago. He did a talk at Ultra Football, and he was echoing, obviously, different career path, but some similar struggles about how it's not all glitz and glamour all the time. And you speaking about some of the things you've had to do to get there, it's just commendable. And look, here on our channel, we're all dads. All of us boys are dads. So hearing you speak about that time away from family and how, that's your motivation.
Yeah.
It hits you, and you get it, man, and it's completely admirable. Before we move on, because I want to ask you a bit more about Japan. I'm a massive fan of Japan, and I've had the privilege of going there. I just want to say to the people in the live chat, there are some new faces. So for those new faces, please make sure you click that subscribe button. Help us to grow. Help us to keep bringing content like this and amazing guests like Mitch Duke. Make sure you hit that like button as well. We will probably be going a little bit longer tonight because this Chelsea news that is absolutely coming out now is blowing up.
What Chelsea news? Stop talking about things that are relevant, man.
I can't think of anyone who I'd rather see react to it live than my man RJ. So we're going to go through this with Mitch, because Mitch, to me, is the priority. We're going to do our normal show, but then at the end, we're jumping into that Chelsea news. So please make sure you stick around. I want to look at a few comments. I love this one from Marty. It's ironic that RJ's computer freezes on the same night as Roman's assets.
I'm glad I didn't bottle that comment, Marty.
Ooh, ouch. Eddie, did Mitch say he drove from Western Sydney to the coast every day? Yeah, you would have loved the North Connects back then.
Yeah. 100%.
We've got David in here, big Leeds fan, big Socceroos supporter too. David, welcome. And declared saying, let Marty talk. They won 5-0. Give him his week before they get pumped. Yeah, well, let's do that. Mitch, I don't want to go too far into this, but again, as I was saying, I went and watched Arsenal playing Japan many, many moons ago. And I was really struck by the culture. It's one of my favorite places I've been to, and I've done Europe and all of that as well. But how are you finding it being over there in Japan? The culture, the supporters. Is it somewhere you wish you'd spent more time, and are you enjoying it over there?
Mate, honestly, second to none in regards to the culture, the respect, the cleanliness of the country, just their everyday and how they approach life and things like that is just, honestly, it's crazy. It's a different world in regards to that. They are such a respectful culture. And I've got like the perfect thing, like, I guess, explanation for that, because I experienced relegation at my Japanese club when I came back in 2015, I think I joined. Anyways, that year we got relegated, and you know how brutal football fans and things can be when things don't go great, and sometimes warranted abuse, no problem. And you're easily in the limelight to be like, you're a bad player, you're this, you don't even know how to kick a ball, you get out of my team, whatever it is. But the response to the fans then was, when I'd seen them in the street and they came across, or even messages on social media, there was nothing negative. It was, we pray that next season you do well and we can get promoted back to J1. Instead of like, it was like all positive, not kicking you when you're down. And it was just an unbelievable response, because you experience it, especially, I don't know if it's right to say complete Western culture, but like you see in the UK, Australia, fans will completely abuse you if things aren't going great. And that's part of football culture and the sport, all well and good. But the response to the Japanese fans was insane. I was like expecting negativity, being like, no, like, you can smash me. Like, I got relegated. Like, it's warranted abuse almost. But they were just so positive and being like, we pray that you get back up to J1 next year. We'll support you. We'll this and we'll that. And it was just like, I was like, where am I? Like, this is insane. Like, such a good culture. And you see that in everyday life here in Japan, and it's just unbelievable. The perfect place for me, raising a young family as well. I had my son that lived with me here in Japan as well. And honestly, you see it from when they're 2 years old. I experienced it at a park. Took my son to the park, and there was a little girl that kind of like picked up the ball, and my son said thank you, and she just did a little bow back. I was like, at 2 years old, mate, it was insane. There's no culture like it. I've loved every minute of being here in Japan, and respected it even more after my experience in Saudi Arabia. And I could hand on heart say, for me, I think it's the best place in Asia for football, culture, lifestyle, and everything like that. So I've loved every minute, which is a big reason why I'd come back. As many people questioned, why have you come back to Japan to play in J2 when you could easily play in J1, in Europe, back in the A-League as a marquee? What made you make that decision? And there's a lot of factors. I usually do a little 3-part checklist that I have in my head, which is usually football level, lifestyle, and financial. And as long as I could usually tick off about 2 of those 3, then I'm pretty happy to go in that direction. And at the end of the day, I could have easily gone to a second Bundesliga club, but the financial side of things was not going to be great. And here it ticks off all the lists, and I was also familiar with Japan. And I also know that the J2 level you'd be very, very surprised by the level here. And there'd be plenty of A-League clubs that would also struggle to get in the top 6 in the J2. It's a tough level. It's like any second league, like in the second Bundesliga, like in the Championship. It's just as competitive, maybe not completely as tactical in some ways, because you're fighting for promotion and every game's a battle physically and it's more intense. But it's a good enough level to know that as long as I'm playing regular football, I could still stay in the international setup. I'll still be improving as a player. I know I'll be happy with the lifestyle and the financial side of things as well. So that's it.
Perfect. I know Robbie wanted to ask you a little bit about that international setup, so I'm going to throw over to him.
Yeah, boys, look, we all love our domestic leagues and stuff like that, but I always say football's at its most purest when you're playing for representing your country, or when you're playing at the highest level. Look, Mitch, I just wanted to ask you some stories from you. Obviously, first call up, crazy places you've played, the honor of playing, and obviously the 2 massive fixtures coming up in 2 weeks' time against Japan and Saudi Arabia for World Cup qualifiers.
Massive games coming up. But yeah, like, to go back to the beginning, to be honest, it was all obviously. I think it's every footballer's dream that starts to make it as a professional. You want to play at that international level and represent the country. I'm an Aussie through and through, so for me to be able to put the green and gold on once was a huge achievement for me, and I would have been satisfied with the one cap. And if someone told me I would have had 17 caps up to date, I would have laughed at you. I definitely didn't have that much belief in my ability and things like that to get that kind of opportunity. But like I said, it is an opportunity, and every time you want to play for your country, the minimum, I guess, effort that you could ask for is 110% work rate. Because you should be fighting for your country regardless, and you can't be walking off the pitch against another country saying that they wanted it more. When you're playing for your country, that just shouldn't be acceptable. So that's one thing I have. When I put on the green and gold, you'll never see me walking, and I'll go into everything and give everything I've got. On that side of things, obviously things don't always work out. Asia's getting to a better level this day and age. But yeah, look, when I first got my opportunity, I felt a little bit funny about my cap. People would downplay my first few caps because it was in the East Asian Cup in 2013. And it was, you would almost borderline say it wasn't really any internationals. It was all like A-League based players, the majority of them. And you'd almost say it was probably a third string, almost Socceroos back then. So it was amazing. Obviously, I also scored 2 goals in my first 3 caps, which was huge. But then I always still had people that were being like, it wasn't still a complete huge achievement because it was like a third string team, things like that. Until after obviously doing well with that opportunity, I got the chance to play against Brazil, which was like,
Yeah.
okay, now this is real. I was in the same camp with, the Lucas Neals, the Brescianos, and players like that. And I was like, holy, this is unbelievable. Yeah. I'm also coming up against a full strength Brazil squad. So it was like, I would say my 4th cap then was like just a huge wake up call. First of all, just to see the level of that Brazil squad. We got pumped 6-0. I played 10 minutes, and it was just insane to think like, wow, there's so much for me to improve on to even battle against that kind of level. And yeah, like honestly, there's no other experience like it to play for your country. And for me, I take every cap like it's my last, because like I said, I would have laughed at you if you said I would have gotten to double digits playing for my country. I know there's probably fans even still now saying, what has Mitch Duke got on Graham Arnold? Has he got dirty pictures of him? Why is he still getting chosen? He's playing in J2, whatever. But I feel like I've kind of warranted my decision, my selections with some of my performances. I think if you look at my stats in the last 10 games for the Socceroos, I've got 5 goals, and only 2 of those games I've started. So that's one of those things. I've played a decent part in what I've done with the minutes I've played for my country. I know we're not in the best position right now, but I think for me personally, I bring something different to what we've already got in our stocks. I might not be as a prolific goal scorer as a McLaren or a Taggart in certain circumstances, but I tell you what, I can cause a lot of problems, and I do a lot of work for the team, and I hope I play a big part in helping Australia get to the next World Cup in these next 2 games.
100%, man. 100%. We hope you all the best for that too. And look, to say that you've represented your country at the Olympics too is just another accolade you can add to your career as well.
Yeah, as a cheeky overage player, the only one that was selected as well. That was a lot of fun, getting called granddad and pop during the Olympic campaign. But look, to be fair, that was unbelievable. And you know what? That was the best experience ever for me, to also be able to work with the young and up-and-coming talent that Australia's got to offer, the best 23 that we had, to also see, where the young Australians are, because these are going to be future Socceroos, and some of them are already in the Socceroos. So that goes to show the quality we have there. And, you've seen actually a few moves come from that Tokyo Olympic experience. I think there's Atkinson, Kemi Devlin, John Rue, Joel King, and Connor Metcalf, who will be leaving at the end of this season in the A-League to go. They've got overseas stints, and they're going at the perfect age, and you just want to hope that they can stay over there, because I think too often we've seen Aussies go abroad and come back way too soon, which is what the Socceroos need. European players playing every week in, week out against the best, because that's only going to improve our national team. And you could see that is where we're based at the moment. You see plenty of comments. We touched on that before we started here, Scott, about Simon Hill's comments earlier and things like that. So I'm hoping that, and I believe that what we've got with the young boys, definitely we can get back there.
And this kind of question almost feeds off. I'm not sure if you have more you wanted to ask, Robbie. We'll come back to you after this, but it does match up with what you were saying. Marty kind of asking, as someone who's played in the A-League and overseas, what do you see as the biggest step forward for the league? Like, what is there something that you think could happen to really help boost our league? Because we all love football. We all want football to succeed in the country. That's a given. But as someone who's played, is there something that you've seen from your perspective that could help move the league forward or our international setup?
I kind of hate saying it, but investment's a big part. The salary, I think the salary cap thing, I'm not a big supporter of it. It also makes some of the best Australian players want to leave the league because they're chasing better financial stability. So, because could you imagine getting, like, obviously all the best Australians to stay in the league, as well as then, you can get all these decent foreigners that don't have to be inside the cap and things like that. So investment's a big thing. And what I've experienced here in Japan is, like, because the investment that they do here, Japan has J1, J2, J3, and the JFL, which is probably like semi-pro, but they've got 3 professional leagues here with 18 teams, 22 teams, and 18 teams again in the J3. Like, obviously there's opportunities there. The development's there. They cradle the young boys. They put them into dormitories. So, like, their pure focus is obviously getting better. When I first came to Japan at Shimizu S-Pulse, they had live-in dormitories where they looked after the young boys, where they would go to professional training, and then they're doing school the second half of that day to still do their studies and things like that, because they have something to fall back on post-football, or they don't get the professional contract that they have. They've got so many things in place that kind of sets you up and gives you the best opportunity to become the player that, first of all, you'd like to be, and the player that they expect you to be, and things like that. And that comes down to also investment. Like I said, there's the salary cap. There's only now a few clubs that are starting to get up to scratch with facilities and things like that. Like Wanderers, for instance, hands down one of the best facilities in the A-League. Melbourne City's obviously there. Sydney SC, you'd almost say they're still training in Macquarie University, and things like that. Like, there's still time to have to invest and grow the game. But I still think that's the main reason why we're stuck. Promotion relegation also adds in a whole different dynamic to the quality of the game, because at the end of the day, if you're fighting to stay up in the top league, it brings another extra 10% to the game, because the desperation, the physicality, the work rate, you can't slack off. You can't slack off, because there are also big, I guess, damages to getting relegated. There could be potential things in people's contracts where you end up losing 30% of your salary if you go down to J2, like for instance. I'm just using Japan as an example, and things like that. So, like, you could be you're playing with your finances, so you need to make sure you're performing. There's so many things that, like promotion relegation, but I don't know if Australia is ready for that just yet, because we've only got 13 professional teams right now.
Yeah,
so it's hard.
Yeah. Australia's not financially stable at the moment. Like I said, we're bringing the new teams. We can see, not just because of the pandemic, every week, there's not even a quarter of the stadiums are filled. There's no income coming in. They got the new rights this year, thinking there was going to be a big boost in all aspects of the game, and to be honest, it's actually gone backwards from what it's looking like.
Yeah, it has. It's unfortunately, I've seen way too much negativity around the A-League, which obviously doesn't help its case either. Trying to grow and trying to get positive attention globally, because I've seen some games where there's obviously been the VAR controversies and things like that, which just doesn't help the A-League. And not to say that it's a joke, but it can make it look a bit like a laughingstock, the way things can be handled compared to other leagues around the world. And obviously, like, the marketability side of things is also a factor. And like I said, we're battling in Australia that's different to everywhere else around the world, where we're battling with three other codes, strong codes with cricket, rugby league, and AFL, which you would almost say you'd say A-League's fourth in that list, which shouldn't be the case when we've got the most developed between development age groups of 12 to 18. It's the most participated sport, so we're losing way too many after that age group, and it shouldn't be happening. It should be going the other way around. So I don't know. Like, I think the investment side of things and opportunity, there needs to be more teams. That's firstly, and even in the league itself, there's 26 professional games. Where I'm in now J2, I'm playing 42 games a season. That's just league, and then there's cup games on top of that. Yeah. In the A-League, you'll be lucky to reach the 30-game mark if you're in the playoffs and the grand final. Like, that's madness. If you were to go to England and say that, they'd be like, mate, I played two A-Leagues in a season. Like, you know what I mean? Sure. 2 A-Leagues in a season, and it's like, because that'll also benefit the national team, because more games is better, because then you can also give more young players the opportunity to play first-team football. And that's the only way younger players get better and develop, is playing with the men in the top level. So it's hard, mate. It's hard. There's still so much to sort out in Australia, unfortunately. But the pandemic definitely didn't help. And hopefully, I just hope one day we can get there.
Jukes, do you see yourself coming back down under to play again? One more stint, or not sure?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
We'll have you back at any time.
I feel like I don't know if I've closed the book on the chapter back to Wanderers. I don't know if I could return a third time. I think that just looks silly.
It doesn't look silly, trust me.
Mate, RJ and I are MacArthur fans, so feel free. You haven't played there, so.
Well, forget the A-League. What you've got to do, Mitch, when you finish your career at 45, you're going to be like Thiago Silva, Ronaldo. You're going to keep playing until defies logic, Benjamin Button style. But you can just come back to Australia and come play for our local Oran Park Rovers team. We're the fastest growing team in Camden. 1,000 players.
I don't think that will tick any of his three things. I don't think it's finance.
You'll get paid. You'll get paid a mozza. You'll be the point person of the club, and you'll get to hang out with the IFT hosts. What else do you want?
That's a good one.
You can tick that off.
Exactly.
I mean, enjoyment-wise, it'd be a hell of a laugh, that's for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Cheers, mate. Hey, boys, it's been so good to spend the first half an hour of the show just learning a bit more about you and hearing some of your experiences. And we know the Socceroos have some massive, massive fixtures coming up. And we wish you well if you play a part in that, or, we all want the same thing. We want to see the Socceroos in the World Cup. Just quickly, you're confident?
Absolutely. And I think if there is any of the players that aren't confident, they shouldn't be coming into camp, because we don't want that.
100%.
The best thing about this situation, that is always hard when you're not, but this is in our hands. 2 wins, we go through. The fact that you've got that opportunity and you're not relying on other people's results, this situation should be exciting players, not also having players being feeling the pressure, we need to get results. That shouldn't be even a thought process. This should just be an excitement machine for the players, because at the end of the day, this puts every player in the situation to be the hero for your country.
Yeah.
And that needs to be the mindset of every player, I believe, because if you're feeling pressure, or you're worried, or you're scared, you can't be going out onto that pitch, because we need players that are confident, positive, and believe that we can get the job done. And I believe if our starting 11 and the subs and whoever goes onto that pitch has that belief, there's no way, with the Aussie mentality and the work rate, that we can't get the job done against the Saudis and the Japanese. There's no way.
Spot on. Well said, mate.
I feel like playing. I wish I was playing in the team with you, Mitch. That's a rev up, mate. Honestly, if any of those players have any doubts, I'll run 100 miles for you, Mitch. What an inspiration.
Mitch, I don't think I physically can run 100 miles, but I'll do my best, mate, till I get a stitch. So we'll try.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, this wasn't on the agenda because it's only breaking now, but I feel we have to cover it. And if it means we've got to shorten the Champions League stuff, then so be it. And Mitch, we know that you've been so generous with your time. If you do need to jet at any point, just let us know, mate. But Mate, we'd love to have you for as long as possible. There is news coming out, and RJ just told me in the private chat he's got to go. How convenient. There's news breaking out of England, and I'm going to read the direct tweet. Roman Abramovich has been sanctioned. All UK assets frozen. Chelsea can still operate under a special license, but the sale is now on hold. The club will not be allowed to sell any more tickets. Only season ticket holders can go to games for the foreseeable future. They're not allowed to sell any merchandise. They're not allowed any new contracts or player transfers, but they are permitted catering services. Thank God for that. That's always an important part. RJ, you're the Chelsea fan here. What's your reaction to that news? That's mental.
Yeah, well, it's not so blindsided by it. It's been the talk of the town. Is are they going to sanction him? What's happening? They're trying to sell the club. It's a fast-moving beast, and it's really naive to sort of talk too much about it because we really don't know what the outcome is. All we know is what they're saying is they've put a ban on him. They've got a special exemption to keep operating and just running match days, etc., etc. But the reality is, it's such a moving beast that we really don't understand the implications of it just yet. And this news always seems to happen 10 hours before we play each game. So it's a little bit of a stitch up in that sense, but it's hard. I feel for people like Thomas Tuchel, to be honest, and the players, because they're professionals. Mitch, you're a professional. You know what it's like when you hear this external noise. On one hand, you've got to keep being professional and just get on with the job. But equally, when you get this landslide news, it's really hard to not put your human cap on and just be a little bit taken aback by it. So, look, I applaud people like Tuchel and the players for having to get on with the job. And I'm sure the next press conference, Thomas Tuchel's not going to get asked anything football related, but economic and sanctions related, which is not really his responsibility, to be frank. He's doing the best job he can. They're going to do what they can. I'm nervous, of course. But at the end of the day, I support the club. We've had the good times. We've had the bad times before Roman come in. And for now, we're just going to take it in our stride and continue to compete on all fronts until otherwise advised. That's all I can say, mate.
Mitch, what are your thoughts on that? I could see you're thinking about it.
Yeah, no, look, RJ, you're spot on, because I felt so sorry in some of the post-match press conferences and things that Tuchel's been put into those situations and ask those questions. I think it's just so hard because he's in no place at all to have to answer any of those questions. It's not his
qualified,
job.
Mitch, is he?
He's not qualified. He's not a politician. He's not directly like. I know the club's obviously directly linked with it because of the owner and things like that. But at the end of the day, his job is to manage the team, get results on the football pitch, and just focus on the football. Like, keep the politics away from it. As a player, I feel sorry because at the end of the day, I know it's horrible what's going on, but at 100%. The same time, it's their job. They need to focus on what they're doing. It's their livelihood. It's how they earn an income. It's how they support their families. Let them do what their job's based on, and the rest can just be outside noise and not be brought directly to the team environment, because it's unhealthy, it's toxic, and it's not fair for the people lower than the owner have to deal with it directly and get asked those questions, because at the end of the day, their answers are irrelevant to those questions, because they like what are their answers going to have anything to do with it other than a potential headline that you're going to potentially twist and make into a story for no reason other than like making the club look a little bit worse for wear or whatever, just for a story. It's just, I think, keep the politics out. Let the coach do what he's paid to do. Let the players do what they're paid to do, and the rest can just be outside noise, and let behind the scenes things get sorted out.
Yeah, interestingly, because I'm of the same view, obviously, but I remember last week or whatever it was, and Tuchel basically snapped back saying, look, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I've said my piece on it. Ask me about my formation, my system. Ask me something football related, because actually that's my job. But then I read, and I have a lot of respect for this particular commentator, it's Craig Foster. He came out, he's very big on his humanitarian stuff, and I have full respect for what he says, and he's a great analyst of the game and whatever. But he come out and basically was saying it's a hot button topic at the moment. You know, should he be getting asked these questions? People need to be a bit more accountable for the places they work and the people they represent, etc. We need to all accept that responsibility. And I felt like saying, if I was in that conversation, I'd be like, yeah, Foz, I understand that we should be responsible and cognizant of who we work for and who we represent. But equally, I work for a place, Scott works for a place, you represent your club. We all have people that have defined roles, and there's actual people that speak to the media, there's people that handle those matters. Thomas Tuchel shouldn't be the one handling non-football related matters. Have a spokesperson talking the news from Roman Abramovich. So I disagree with that whole notion. Just because you work for a certain company, I work for a government agency. Do I talk on behalf of the government agency and their policy? No, because they've got a special person for doing that. Yeah. And I think that's the same thing with Thomas Tuchel and any other manager. There's even Newcastle. They've got new owners. They've got questionable background. Manchester City. Most big clubs that have really expensively owned owners have some sort of questionable ethics. Are all these managers all of a sudden going to get asked around background checks about their owners? I don't know. There's got to be a line drawn here somewhere.
100%. I just felt, look, I did feel sorry for him because he shouldn't be put in that uncomfortable situation, because you could tell how uncomfortable he was and how stressed out he was, because he literally just wants to do his job. It's so easy to also, I guess for Craig Foster to say something like that, not being in his position, speaking from the outside. I just felt so sorry for him, because you could tell from his reaction he just doesn't want to talk about it, because he doesn't feel like he's not the right person to be talking about it on the club's behalf, because at the end of the day, from him, it's not going to make any kind of impact or anything. Let a spokesperson get involved, and whoever else behind the scenes that's in the office, and the CEO or whoever it is, someone needs to speak on that behalf and really take away that noise from the coach and the playing staff.
And one slip of the tongue from Thomas Tuchel, who isn't a politician, isn't trained on these things. One slip of the tongue, they're going to drag him, the players, the club, all through the mud. The media is
waiting. His words.
That's all they're waiting for. That's all they're waiting for, 100%.
Robbie, this is obviously huge news. I mean, not being able to sell any tickets, not being able to sell merchandise, a transfer ban. What's your reaction as a neutral? Obviously, we both hate Chelsea. That's something we have in common, Rob. But stepping back, what's your reaction to this news? Do you think it's going to have a massive impact on Chelsea?
Well, obviously it's all happening by the second at the moment. I'm sure when we get off this eventually, we're going to keep reading a little bit more deeper into it. But as we said last week on the show, I think there's a lot to come out about this whole situation. From when he came out, when we first said, there was rumors about him selling, 48 hours later, the club released the official statement. It's officially for sale. Obviously we all know the whole thing with the war and everything, but I think there's a lot behind this and a lot to come out. And this is probably the UK and, possibly UEFA saying we need to break away. He needs to go. And Chelsea's the club, and the fans are going to take the big brunt from it. Like I said, money not coming in. This is not going to happen. Yeah, like I said, I think it'll be a bit hard for a points deduction and stuff like that, because to hurt the club in that aspect when they haven't, the players, the fans, the managers, they haven't done anything wrong. They've got nothing to do with the hierarchy. So, yes, whatever. I told you there's a lot of grey area with the whole Roman owning the club, such and such. Again, it's breaking news as we speak. We're just going to have to see what happens as it unfolds.
What kind of gets me, and I'm going to break my rule, and my rule usually is I won't kind of touch on political things on air, but I am going to touch on this one because this to me feels, I can't believe I'm about to stick up for Chelsea and Roman Abramovich.
Closet Chelsea fan, just admit it, mate.
This to me feels like a hit, like a targeted hit where, Abramovich is not the president of Russia, right? We can all agree that what's going on in that part of the world is horrible. No one likes any conflict. But there have been other clubs, owners or backers who have been involved in other conflicts in other parts of the world and some other tragedies that have happened around the world. And there was never any of this heat. There was never any of this scrutiny, any of this heat. I actually feel like this is terribly unfair. I feel like you're punishing people, like you guys have said. You're punishing fans. Like, I know as someone who's traveled over there to watch my team play, right? These clubs are hotspots for international tourists. You would have Chelsea fans who have travelled up to London from God knows where in the world to go and watch their team play, who are going to be robbed of that chance. You would have players in that dressing room trying to focus on Champions League, Premier League, who now have to worry about what's the go with my contract, what's the go at the club, what's happening. Roman was walking away. He was going. He'd already kind of announced what was going to happen with that money. It's not like, you know, he didn't seem to be using it for anything sinister. Now, maybe it was some good PR, but to me, it seems like this is unnecessary. He was going. You don't need to punish fans, football fans, because that's who's suffering. The fans, potentially the league, if there's a points deduction, you know, those players cop it. I will be furious if
I don't think that would happen. I don't think that would happen.
That
and they did say they'll review it in May. So
who'd have thought this would happen? No merchandise, no tickets. We don't know. This seems like a hit to me.
You know what it feels like?
It's a
It
hit
feels
at
like
Roman,
a systematic dismantling of the club. That's what it feels like, a slowly chip it away, commercially speaking, to really hit the pockets home of Roman and co. But I don't know. This is going to be a massive legal battle. That's why I said, let's just wait and see. That this thing is moving at a really rapid pace, almost as quick as Mitch Duke, of course.
That's it. Hey, this was probably my favourite comment, though. I know I stuck up for you, but Marty, bringing the goods. Chelsea need to be punished. Lampard to be given a 5-year coaching contract.
Hey, come on now. Come on. Let's not bottle it, Marty.
That was sensational. Look, we will obviously continue keeping our eyes and ears on this. Don't be shocked if we're potentially reacting to this over the weekend if things develop, because this is big. And I know you, RJ, you're hard on your sleeve. I know you're like a duck at the moment. You're keeping it cool on the surface. But, mate, I'd love to have a penny for to be in your head at the moment and know what's going on.
I think there's plenty to come in this. This is the tip of the iceberg at the moment, mate. There's a lot to come. And like I said, they've been targeting Roman for years and years and years. So they've used this whole war thing at the moment. We're going to go hard at him right now while the whole world's on our side kind of thing.
Mourinho said it, Rob. There's a campaign against Chelsea. It's taken them 20 years to land one. This is it.
Look, we'll have to wait and see. Boys, obviously we've just spent a large amount of time on that, rightfully so. It's huge news. So I don't want to get too bogged down in the Champions League. I think we can all agree that Bayern were brilliant. We don't need to go down that path. I think we can all agree that City were relaxing this morning.
Did City play today? I don't think anyone knew they played today, mate.
Just chilled out. It's really two games we're going to talk about, and the first one we're going to touch on is Liverpool-Inter. RJ, as the Inter fan here, quickly give us your thoughts, because let's move straight on to PSG and Madrid after this.
Well, I got to say, I was very proud of the way Inter Milan played. I thought they lack a lot of firepower up front, especially without Barella there, and obviously I keep bringing up Romelu's gone, Hakimi's gone. Massive part of their attack has been out. They went Lautaro Martinez up front. I thought he wasn't playing actually very well, but then scored a top finish. Great strike. I'm sure, Mitch, you would have been very proud of that finish yourself. But then a moment later, Sanchez gets himself sent off. But I don't know, super bias here. That was, I don't know, it's a disgraceful decision. I have to be. I thought that's almost like they felt they got his first challenge wrong, because they could have said, oh, he might have got a red card for that stud. But that was debatable. This one here, he's won the ball, not even studs up, his toe poked it at full speed. Where's his leg meant to go? It even fell downward as well. He tried to do everything he could in a split second. Like Thierry Henry, your God, came out, said, this guy, unless you've played football, you won't understand that's just inertia. He's just going at full speed, and he actually won the ball in the safest possible way. And then you've got players like in the Carabao Cup, what's his name? Keita studs up, doesn't get the ball right into the groin of Chalobah. Nothing. How can that be a yellow card? That gets nothing. That changed the whole tie. But look, they lost. Liverpool won, and I was just proud of the fact that we didn't get humiliated at Anfield.
No.
Mitch, did you want to add anything on that game, mate, or are you happy to move on?
Yeah, I think it was quite a surprising performance from Liverpool's side of things, and actually, I guess, put them a little bit on notice. because I think if it wasn't for that red card, they could have gone into
another goal would
have really put them under the pump massively, because I felt like the way things could have gone, because it like once you get a goal as well, momentum can like keep going, but then that red card just took that straight out of him, and it was unfortunate. And then you a man down against Liverpool is always going to be so difficult, regardless of how they're playing in that game. You're asking for an absolute mountain to climb after that to try and get another goal. But I think if it wasn't for that red card, I think Liverpool would have definitely been a bit shaky.
Bad call, but Mitch, wasn't it? What do you think, man? I'm putting you on the spot. Bad call for that second
yellow?
Yeah,
I felt for Sanchez.
I didn't feel anything for Sanchez.
That's a Europe. That's Europe for you. We had the same thing round one against Young Boys when Wan-Bissaka got sent off for a very similar thing. Very similar. Copped a 3-game suspension for it. Again, when that happens in fast mode, went for the ball, the player just think you can't stop yourself in the middle of fast motion. Stepped on his ankle, 3-game suspension, straight red card. So it's just, I think it's more in Europe,
Rob, we're talking about Inter. Mitch, he always does this. He just brings you down cheekily.
Listen here, mate.
When we were young boys, that would have happened. Okay?
I would argue that losing Bissaka for 3 games probably increased your chances of winning anyway. So let's move on, boys, because I said on Tuesday evening, I'm so glad we didn't clip it, that I thought this was the match where Messi was seriously going to lift, blow us away, and remind us that he's not washed up. And
I think you've got to own up as well to your first prediction this year, a bit of humble pie, saying that PSG we're going to win the Champions League with all these stars, and we told you
I thought they would. I mean, it's to have gone in with that lead and be exiting at this stage of the comp. As I put out in my tweet this morning, and I hope Marty and Alex are still here, you can take the man out of Spurs, but you cannot take the Spurs out of the man. It, to me, was absolutely terrible for PSG. For Benzema, mate, he doesn't always get the credit he deserves, but he has consistently been banging in goals at the top for, it seems like forever. So congratulations to Real Madrid. Pessi's done. It's finished, RJ.
Had nothing to do with him, but let's look at what happened. Donnaruma's mistake and Marquinhos' mistakes had nothing to do with Messi at all.
He didn't inject himself into the tie at all, to be honest, at the same time. Mbappe carried him through most of the Champions League. Everyone said that Messi's there for the Champions League. He's scored a few goals. He's done nothing in the league. No, you know me, we're big Ronaldo fans. He hasn't. They bought him along with Neymar, along with Mbappe, to get that pinnacle of the Champions League. Messi has not, in the whole Champions League, stood out.
But to be fair, he put a nice ball over the top for Mbappe, and he stacked it. He fell over at the last moment. In the first half, he ran by the byline, crossed it in front of the goal. Average. If someone was there to tap it in, he would have had 2 assists, and it'd be a different conversation today. So, look, I get what you're saying, but equally, PSG have shown that a team of stars is less than a star team. They are a basket case, and I couldn't be happier.
That's exactly right. They're a team of star individuals. Like, there's nothing that's ever sold me about PSG, even since Messi joining them, that gave me the sense that they could do anything like what Real Madrid done in this game, coming back from a 2-0 down aggregate, to come back, Benzema to score a hat-trick. There's nothing about PSG that when the times it's up that they could pull something like that out, because it is that sense of team of individuals, heavily reliant on Mbappe. You could tell Messi's just a victim of his environment, that he didn't ever want to go to this place.
Yeah,
and I just don't think he's just not obviously not the same player he was since he's gone to PSG. And I think a lot of factors, like I can't handle too much Messi slander, because I think regardless of
good on you, Mitch. Good on you, mate.
Considering what he's doing at the moment, what he's done for the game, and you'll never see another player like him. I think what's crazy is that even this one season that is nowhere near his usual statistics. Average out his statistics. Some players that played for 30 years would not reach his numbers. So I don't know. I find it hard to accept too much slander for him. I think he's just a victim of his environment and a place that he never wanted to go to in the first place. And when mentally he was always going to be that one club player, and unfortunately it's not the case. And he's just nowhere near the player he used to be. And I reckon there's a lot going up in there, which is for that reason. So it's unfortunate to see because I've got a soft spot for him because I was like, I really wanted him to win the Champions League with PSG. But unfortunately, it never looked like they were going to do it.
Yeah, look, at the same time as well, Twitter's blown up today with the whole Poch is a bottler, this is this and that about Poch, or as Scotty said, you can't take the Spurs out of a man. Honestly think, being to a side, I think it's a really harsh call on Pochettino because no one out of all the managers had, all the money they've spent, all the stars they've got, no one has done that at PSG. Winning the league, winning domestic cups in France that should just be a given. To make it or to really achieve anything at PSG is to win the Champions League. And as we all know, they've never even got there, not once. So to come out and say that Poch is the bottler, I think is a bit harsh. You can't control the players today. They had a complete collapse. And we've seen it before. Tommy Tuchel got them to a Champions League final, lost it. Next minute comes to Chelsea, wins the Champions League. So
Thiago Silva.
So you can't. Exactly. You can't say that's on Pochettino because for anyone that watched that game, you have to say that it was the players' fault today. Like I said, a blunder from Donnarumma. We're Italian, RJ. We can say it ourselves. Absolutely shocking decision from Donnarumma. After that, the momentum swung, mate. In front of the Madrid fans, 2 back-to-back goals in a couple minutes. And like I said, Benzema on fire. I think it was harsh to throw him under the bus today.
To me, though, I don't think it is because PSG should be walking their league every season. He didn't win the league. I think it was last season he didn't win it, right?
18 points clear now. He came in last year, halfway through a season. You can't judge someone that just walks in. Judge him on this season. He's 18 points clear this season. What's his excuse now?
He's got that. Good, so he should. There should be no excuse with that squad in that league. But this is not good enough in the Champions League. And we know what it's like. You saw it with Ollie, Rob. The players ultimately were the ones on the pitch, but you can't go and sack a whole squad of players. It always comes first and foremost to the manager. I'm not saying it's right, but it is what it is. And Pochettino still continues that reputation of not being a serial winner.
You know what's hard? The only thing I can kind of sympathize with him in that sense is it must be so hard to manage such a group of stars and egos and everything that comes with it. Like, you can only put 11 players out there and you're leaving out some absolute ballers. Like, it'll be so hard to manage people's egos and characters and personalities and things like that, to manage that. And I don't know what it would be like. Only people in that change room would know exactly what it's like. But it plays a massive part, and that's exactly what it seems like on the pitch. In games like Champions League games and must-wins and things like that, when the going gets tough, that's when a real team of boys together that are not individuals will get the job done when the time gets tough, when a team of individuals just won't do that. So I feel sorry for Pochettino in that sense, because imagine having to manage a Messi and Mbappe and Neymar, and then you've got the other boys, Di Maria, that you're leaving out. Like, Di Maria's a baller. Like,
I think
so many more players, but like that must be such a hard change room to manage, and I just don't envy his job at all.
I think Zidane comes in as their manager at the end of this season.
I agree.
That's my call. I think he'd be very much a person that could handle characters,
the egos
like that.
But it's funny, football, it comes at you fast, though, isn't it? Because the first 60 minutes, it's who is PSG going to take on next? They were all over Real Madrid. They had a couple of chances. And I actually said, it's funny, I was watching it this morning and it was 1-0. There was a chance actually at the end of the first half, right at the end, and Mbappe, I think Messi was through on goal. He did pass it to him and the ref blew 1-0. I think, no, 1-0, 2-0 would have definitely killed it. 1-0 gives him a chance. Bang, 1-0, 2-0, and then all of a sudden PSG doing PSG things. So, hey, football comes at you fast. Pochettino was into the next round. Now all of a sudden he's out the door.
Benzema's gone from strength to strength since Ronaldo's left as well. He's taken the reins and done brilliantly, I think.
Great shout.
Yeah,
Well
look,
said.
at the end of the day, PSG, I think, is the bottle job. Like I said, we've seen it done the time when Barca done them 6. They came back from 5-0 down or whatever
6-1.
it was. 6-1. Remember that? That's a bottle job, man. So I said, Ancelotti, LeBlanc, Tuchel, they've all been there. All the big managers there, and they can't get them over the line, mate. I think it's just the club's mentality at the end of the day.
Easy, boys. We, again, with that Chelsea news, the show's gone a little bit longer than it normally would. Mitch, if you need to go, please just let us know at any point. We'll let you go. But if not, we're going to jump in and do about 10 minutes on predictions. I'm not sure if you wanted to stay or you had to go.
Sorry, you froze a little bit there with what are you guys getting on to next?
We're going to do some predictions for the next round of the Premier League. We do these pretty quick, should take about 10 minutes. But if you need to go...
More than happy to chill, mate.
Let's do this then. Let's do this. I'm going to put the fixtures up. Boys, they're going to be quick fire predictions tonight. We're going to go nice and quick. RJ, Norwich, Chelsea.
Lock me in for a 2-1 to Chelsea.
Robbie.
2-0 Chelsea.
3-0 Chelsea.
I'm going 3-1 Chelsea. Southampton, Newcastle, which is going to be a banger. Jukes, what do you think happens here?
Newcastle 2-1.
Newcastle 2-1 for me as well. I'm with Jukes. RJ?
1-1 for me.
Yeah, I agree with RJ. I think Southampton at home. It's going to be a great game. But yeah, sitting on the fence, 1-1 as well.
Wolverhampton and Watford. Robbie, what happens here?
Wolves have to win this at Molineux. Have to. They've come off 2 back-to-back losses now that I thought they were going to get some kind of points off. They were hanging around that top 4 battle, and now they've drifted away. So I think if they want a European spot, they need to get this in the bag. 1-0 Wolves, standard score.
It's 1-1 for me. What do you think, RJ?
2-1 to the Wolves.
Jukes?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Robbie. 1-0 to the Wolves.
1-0. There you go. I know David is a big Leeds fan, so I would love to see your prediction for this one too, mate. Leeds hosting an informed Aston Villa. Jukes, what do you think happens here?
I'm going Aston Villa 2-1.
Coutinho double or what?
Yeah, he'll definitely play a part in one of the goals at least.
Robbie?
Close game again, this one, only because I liked what I've seen last week under their new manager with Leeds at home as well. I still think Villa have a bit too much quality. 1-0 Villa.
RJ?
I still think Villa will get the job done here. 2-1.
I'm going with 3-0 to Aston Villa. Leeds, for me, just dreadful at the moment.
They were good last week under their new manager.
Yeah, but they didn't win, did they?
No.
I mean, I
think
think they're going down.
1-0.
Leeds and Everton are fighting for that last relegation spot for me.
Look, we're not going to be upset if Leeds go down anyway.
I won't be. 2 teams that aren't fighting for relegation spots, Brighton and Liverpool. RJ, what do you think?
As much as I want Brighton to get a couple of points stolen from them, I still think Liverpool too strong in the end. Quality should shine. Lock me in for we'll go 2-1 to the Reds.
David did not like my opinion on Leeds. That's okay, though. It's a football thing. We debate sometimes. Jukes, what do you think? Can Brighton pull off an upset?
Nah, Liverpool 2-0. They'll have a good reaction from the last game in the Champions League.
Robbie?
I'll go 2-1 Liverpool in this one.
I'm going to go 3-1 Liverpool's way. Brentford, Burnley. This one I don't think will be a banger. I'm not too pumped for this. I actually think we might get a ball draw, 0-0. What about you, RJ?
No, I still think Brentford will get on the score sheet here. I actually think it'll be 2-1 Brentford.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm hoping the Brentford will sting Burnley this week because I really want this team to stay in the Premier League. So I'm going to go for 2-0 to Brentford. Hopefully a Tony double.
Oh wow! I'm going to go a 1-1.
Interesting. There you go. I'm sorry that we didn't get to go too deep on this fixture, Robbie, because it's a big one. It is a big one. So I don't know if before your prediction you want to maybe just quickly go through your thoughts and we can let you cover that. But this is a big game. United hosting Spurs.
It is a big game. And look, I think it's actually going to be interesting to see our lineup in this one. Obviously, big game in the weekend. we're still iffing and ahhing. Have we already lost that top 4 spot? We've got the Champions League game midweek against Atletico. You know, at the moment, which one's bigger? Go for a bit of the Champions League run or continue to try and get that top 4 spot? It's a bit of a 50-50. If he plays Ronaldo from the start on both of them is another big question mark. Look, we one of the games we did turn up and have as was Spurs away this year. I think it was 2 or 3-0. We had one of our best performances. At home, really need to win this, and I really actually want to win it because if Conte beats us at home, I'm going to be burning. I'll go for a 2-0 to United on this one because I can see Conte trying to break my heart. But so at home, we need to get these 3 points. 2-0 United.
Jukes, I know you're a Gunners fan like me. Are you feeling any love for Spurs in this match?
Honestly, these two teams are like the most unpredictable clubs.
The roller coaster clubs, mate.
Honestly, you don't know what you're going to get. But I've got a feeling after the last performances and the way Harry Kane started to look, I've got a feeling Tottenham's going to edge Man United with a 2-1 win.
Away.
Who am I to argue with Jukes? I'm going 2-1 as well. What about you, RJ? Has he frozen again?
Yeah,
mate, it's like he's taking the whole Roman frozen thing too seriously.
I'm not sure why they chose to freeze his internet connection. He works for the government here, not for the Russian government, but that's all right. We'll just get him to send his to Daniel. Couple of comments from the chat before we look at Chelsea-Newcastle. Can you play Maguire for 90 minutes? 3-1, Alex is falling.
I told you, if you're looking at the Spurs rollercoaster season, they had the City win, then they lost against Middlesbrough, then they had the win against the other week against a 5-0, who it was the other day. Mate, I think they're due for their loss again. So we're going to take the points this week.
That's it. Look, I know we've taken a lot of Mitch's time, so we're going to move on without. I know he's back. We're going to move on with RJ here so we can wrap this up. Let's look at Chelsea-Newcastle. And if you didn't get your United Spurs in, RJ, chuck that in now. You go first.
Yeah, I'll go for a 1-1 draw for that game. Sorry, I was just on the phone with the Chelsea board. Emergency crisis meetings. You know what it's like. It's crazy at the moment. But anyway, I digress.
Was that 1-1 for Chelsea-Newcastle?
No, for Tottenham, Manchester United.
Let's look at Chelsea-Newcastle. Kick us off.
Well, I don't know, making the crazy assumption that we're allowed to play anymore as a football club by that time. Yeah, very tough game. Newcastle's rejuvenated, let's be honest. At Stamford Bridge, I think a lot of it does depend on how we go against Norwich tomorrow. And I'm talking about not just the points-wise, but even injuries, because Reece James, our best player, we thought, okay, we need him for the end of the season. Bang, gets injured. He's out for the next 4 games as a minimum. So, look, we're really missing some injection of spark, but I still think we should have enough to get by. I'm going to predict us to get a narrow win. We'll lock in a 2-1 for me at Stamford Bridge. Hopefully they get behind the troops there, whoever's over there, whoever is allowed to go to the game.
Jukes?
Yeah, I would agree with that. 2-1 win to Chelsea. I think they still just have enough quality to get results, regardless of what's going on.
2-1 for me as well. 2-1 for me too, Robbie.
2-0 Chelsea.
Everton hosting Wolves. Frank's going down. Wolves are going to take this 1-0. Robbie?
Is this a double game week or something, mate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 1-0 Wolves again.
RJ?
No, I think we're going to see a response from Everton. 7-0 Wolves. No, just kidding. I'll be 1-1. Come on, Frank. Make me proud. 1-1. Come on.
Yeah, I'm going to go Everton 1-0 win. I don't know if I just feel a little bit sorry for him at the moment.
They're nosediving at the moment.
They're letting him down. They're letting him down, mate.
I've got no pity. Before we do these last couple of fixtures, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button as well. And if you've joined us late, make sure you go back because we're having an absolute blast with Mitch Duke, who's been a brilliant guest and so generous with his time. Let's look at Leeds Norwich very quickly, boys. We'll go from you, Dukes, down to the bottom.
I don't know if this is going to be too much of an exciting game, but I feel like Leeds will pull a random result out of that and 1-0.
I'm going with 1-1 in this one. RJ?
No, I think Leeds at Ellen Road, they're going to take this one. This is a 6-pointer. I know it's 6-pointer for both, but I still think Leeds will do enough here. Lock me in for 2-1. 2-1 to Leeds.
Rob?
Yeah, I agree with Mitch on this one. 1-0 Leeds.
Right, 3 more, boys. 3 more. Southampton hosting Watford. Let's go from the bottom to the top, starting with you, Rob.
Southampton 2-1.
RJ obviously doesn't understand from the bottom to the top.
No, I've just frozen, mate. Like our assets, we're frozen. But look, we are going with a Southampton win here. I honestly do. I think they'll take this 2-0.
2-1 Southampton for me. What about you, Jukes?
Yeah, I'm going to go the same as you, mate. 2-1.
Hammers Villa, this will be an absolute cracker. I think we might get a 2-2 draw here. I'm feeling some goals. Both teams, very good teams. RJ?
Yeah. I was thinking a draw, but I just think West Ham, they're still in the fight for this top 4. Do just enough. Just enough. I mean that. And I reckon it'll be 2-1 to the Hammers.
Yeah,
Robbie?
same here. 2-1 Hammers.
I'm going to go 3-2 Hammers. It's going to be an exciting game, that one.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
There we go. Last one. This is our team, Jukes. Arsenal hosting Leicester. We're in brilliant form. I actually think we'll beat them. We don't mind playing Leicester. We tend to get some decent results. I think we're going to beat Leicester 2-1. It'll be tight.
Yeah, I reckon Arsenal's going to be a bit more comfortable than that. 3-1.
Love that. Love that. RJ?
Arsenal unreliable, cheating their way to wins, as we know. Bunch of scumbags. Nah, just kidding. Good team, obviously. Playing well. Lock me in for an Arsenal win. 2-1. Be tight.
Rob?
Yeah, I think Arsenal will take this one. Leicester's got a Europa League game as well, a couple of days before. I think this will be a big win for Arsenal. 3-0 at home.
I think we're all agreeing that City are going to win that game because that's a 7 a.m. kickoff. But if you feel differently, let us know. I'm going with City 3-1. RJ, quickly.
I don't think it'll be that straightforward, to be honest. I'm going to pull a rabbit out of the hat. I reckon this could be a 1-1.
Rob?
2-0 City.
And Jukes.
I'm doubling that. 4-0.
All right.
Connor Gallagher. Come on, Mitch.
City
Mark Gay at the back.
The game that I watched with them against Man United is... Sorry, Robbie.
That's just Man United, though.
Mate, they've toyed with us twice this season. It wasn't... Yeah, it's it.
But it was like it was the finer details to how City actually work as a team. And you talk about, like, if you want to compare star-studded team, but to working as a team, it's chalk and cheese between Man City and PSG. The reaction to in the transition from the Man City team to when it broke down, 8 players got behind the ball so fast. It was unbelievable. And I rate that so much from absolute stars who are on absolute wickets a week, who could easily probably like sack it off a bit and maybe not work as hard because their ball is on the ball and in possession and things like that. But their work rate to get back in transition shows to me why they're so good. And I think they're just unstoppable at the moment.
Hard to argue with that. But what isn't hard to argue with as well is that it's been a cracker of a show. We spent the first half of the show talking about Mitch's career, some of his experiences, life in Japan and the Socceroos. It's been brilliant again. We are so grateful to you for your time. We talked about that huge breaking Chelsea news. Roman's assets frozen. RJ's frozen a few times. They're trying to cancel him as well. And we did some big, big predictions. We know you've been so generous with your time, Mitch. Can we steal you for maybe 3 more minutes to do some quick fire questions? It's a tradition.
Absolutely, mate. Happy.
All right, Robbie, go for it, mate.
Boys, I've got 2 tonight because I know some of the things. 2 of them are just for Mitch and the rest are for you. So, Mitch, most hostile place you've played?
Most hostile place. I'd actually say when we played against Brazil in Brasilia, we were literally not allowed out by ourselves because apparently there's like over 300 abductions a week in that city. And abductions also escalate and there's a difference. They might like steal you and take you to an ATM and force you to give them money, not to actually completely kidnap you and you go missing to that level. And so that was quite scary. And at the same time, Brazil were hosting the World Cup and the taxes were going crazy in the country, and people were literally rioting in the streets outside our hotel. We had to have a dummy bus, so people didn't know which bus the Australian national team were in. It was insane.
Wow.
So I'll definitely say that.
Crazy. One more. NRL starts tonight. Do you have a team? Who do you follow?
Yeah, I follow the Roosters.
Oh,
Don't judge me.
Cappuccino sipper. No. All right, boys, quickly for you guys. We already know Mitch's one of his first club was Liverpool Rangers. Your first clubs.
you stole my quickfire. That was mine.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Great
mate.
luck to like.
Smithfield RSL. Smithfield RSL.
We're
is
not
my
talking
first
about
one.
your favourite place to go hang out, Scott. We're talking about your first club, mate.
No, mate. Smith. I was a goalkeeper for Smithfield RSL, and I was bloody good keeper too.
Aj?
For me, it was actually. It's funny. I don't know how you are. I think Austral was either Austral or,
Yeah, I think
Wetherill
you're
Park
Austral.
or Wetherill Park Westerners. One of the two, because I played for both, but Austral for the main part of it.
I was Busby Sports, and my under 10s, believe it or not, was our first title, and we beat Liverpool Rangers in the final, mate, 4-0. I think I would have been just a couple years older than you, Mitch, so you wouldn't have been there.
That's class.
And last one for the boys. We're all Doggies fans. Are we making the top 8 this year?
No.
Well, I've got the screen on in front of me, and I'm watching two teams that actually play pretty good football. No,
What's the
I
score?
don't-
I
at this
don't know the
stage.
score. What's the score?
Don't worry about that.
spoiler.
That's not important.
Don't worry about that. I'm pretending. I'm not watching. I'm focused on this conversation only and Chelsea situation. For me, no, not top 8, not yet.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we're about 10th, I reckon.
Hey, Dukes, are the Roosters making the top 8, mate?
Yeah, mate, for sure.
But plenty of brown paper bags at that.
He's
point.
got Teddy on the phone. He's got Tedesco on the phone. You better
If
win
their
the
assets
premiership.
get frozen, you're in trouble. Tell you what. Tell you what.
There'll still be paper bags floating about, mate.
That's it.
Hey, Robbie honestly took mine, so I've not got one. I'll leave it with you, RJ.
No, you know what? This will be a first. I'll have a quick fire 3-9. I'll leave it at that because we wrapped it up nicely there.
Beautiful. Dukes, absolute pleasure again. Thank you so much for being generous. We wish you all the best for your future fixtures, seasons. We know you've still got a few good years in you, I reckon, about 10 of them. And hopefully, best of luck getting caught up for that Socceroos team. It's been so generous of you to spend an hour and 17 minutes with us. You are always welcome back anytime, mate. If you're getting a bit bored over there, feel free to jump on with us. You just message Robbie. And that's a wrap. That is an absolute wrap. Any closing words, RJ?
No, just echo what you said. It's been brilliant. It's been a very long discussion with you, Mitch. I loved all the banter, but putting that to the side for just a quick moment, I really listened carefully to some of the more serious stuff you had to say about the journey, the struggles, the challenges, and ultimately the hurdles you have overcome and continue to overcome each day. So keep doing your thing, legend, and I hope we can keep in contact and have you back on here sometime soon.
No, absolutely, boys. I really appreciate it. And, that's when it's a good chat. When you just said it was an hour or 17 minutes, it felt like half an hour, mate. So I had a pleasure with you boys, and I look forward to chatting again.
Well, good, Robbie. You want to close the show out, mate?
Again, boys. Again, Mitch, thank you very much. You've been so easy to contact, mate. For you, it's a couple of words. For us, it's a massive thing to have you on our show. We appreciate you. You appreciate your time. And again, all the best. Hopefully get that Socceroos call up and you get us all the way to the big dance.
100%. The country needs us at the World Cup, mate.
Hey,
Thank you,
Dukes,
mate.
can you do us a favour? I know you probably got a few booked in, but if you score one for the Socceroos, mate, can you just hold up 3 fingers for the IFT boys or what?
Fingers happily, mate. Job done.
Mitch, I've got one more quick
in.
one. What's the go with the celebration? When the split celebration? Is that just a random thing or what? I got to know.
To be honest, I surprised the boys in the change room and I was just stretching, and then one of the boys kind of just said, if you score today, do it. And then I did it, and then it kind of went a bit viral, and I just threw it out at certain moments. And definitely the most enjoyable one was to throw the splits out in front of the cove when I scored against them.
Was that the diving header one? That was the best. Yeah, hectic.
I haven't scored for me doing the splits. They're probably
If you score for the Socceroos in a couple of weeks, make sure you do it for us, all right?
Splits and 3 fingers.
I'll just throw out the 3 fingers for you lads. Happily do
That's
it.
it.
Cheers, mate. All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy your football and stay safe.